Welcome, everybody, and thanks to all of you for attending this new event in Clearpeak School Talks, our webinar series focused on data analytics and management. My name is Gianluca Nacci, and I am the General Manager of the Middle Eastern branch of Clearpeak. I will spend the next 5 minutes introducing the webinar agenda, our company and capabilities, to then introduce the topics of the webinar. With me is my colleague Manish Jain, Senior Consultant and Technical Lead in our Oracle Analytics practice in Clearpeak, who will showcase the latest features of Oracle Analytics Cloud in this webinar and participate to the Q&A panel at the end of this presentation. On this regard, because of the broad audience to this webinar, we have disabled the speak function on attendees. So we recommend you to ask your questions using the Q&A function that you see in the Zoom control panel. We will be reserving a bit of time for answering your questions towards the end of the webinar. And whatever unanswered question remains, it will be dealt with after the webinar via mail. The purpose of this webinar is to have a deep dive into Oracle Analytics Cloud, also called OAC, during the course of this presentation, and demo the features and capabilities introduced in the latest versions. So if you are an Oracle user and use or are thinking of adopting OAC, stay tuned. So during this webinar, we will briefly introduce our company and services, the highlights of the latest versions 5.9 and 6.0 of OAC in terms of visualization, data preparation, and general capabilities. Then we will go swiftly into the developer's corner to delve a bit deeper into the development capabilities of OAC. Then have a bit of wrap up with the key takeaways and conclusions, and then open the Q&A panel for you to participate to. So what is Clearpeak? We are an end-to-end business analytics consultancy firm operating worldwide for the last 21 years, with a broad customer and projects portfolio and success stories across more than 20 industries. Our headquarters is in Barcelona, in Spain, and we have offices in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and a capability office in Zagreb. We are planning to open in Boston, US in 2022. Our services span from business intelligence to big data and advanced analytics, complemented by web and mobile capabilities for tailored solutions. We invest in the leading and most state-of-the-art technologies and methodologies to help our customer make the most of their data, whatever the data are and wherever the data are. To help our customers achieving their business goals, we provide a full end-to-end portfolio of services, from the inception of their data journey by estimating company readiness by way of data and processes and helping them formulate a strategy, to determining the program success factors and then delving into the business requirements gathering and consolidating, to then implementing and supporting the BI, big data and machine learning artificial intelligence project, under a solid data governance and management layer. The outcome of our work spans from executive and management-oriented analytics to real-time operational and tactical data discovery, reporting and enablement, to web and mobile applications made just for you. For this webinar, however, we will concentrate on both data discovery and management analytics capabilities on the back of the OAC features that we will explain. Based on this, I will now pass the baton to Manish Jain, our Oracle technical lead, who will introduce OAC and showcase its new features. Manish, over to you.
Thank you so much, Gian. And once again, a warm welcome to all of you. So at Clearpeak, we are always on back of all the latest updates that's happening in the analytics space at Oracle. And today we really strive to share this knowledge with you. So stay tuned and do look out for our section towards the end, which is the developers corner. It's a bit of a bonus slide for all of you there. the new feature that has been added in terms of visualization here, very interesting, is the ability to add new map backgrounds. So until now, you were able to use maps that were present by default, provided by Oracle. It could be the Oracle BI maps or even the OpenStreetMaps. But two new protocols have been introduced. That is the WMS and the XYZ tile layers. That is the tiled web map. What this essentially allows you to do is bring in any map that is available on the web server and then use it as a background in your map visualization. An example here, this is a population density map that is available on the Columbia University website. So if you were to do analysis, let's say, which is related to population, it would make more sense for you to have your analysis on this map rather than the default map. A lot of sorting enhancements also have been made in the new releases, especially in terms of multi-layer sorting, and also the new way of how you could sort through the grammar panel. Let's quickly see that. So you notice here I'm able to sort from the graph itself, which could be high, low, or even have no sort. And then moving on to the grammar panel, the KPIs are available there, and I have options to sort from there as well. And if it's a table, these arrow icons will help you do that. This is especially important because cleanly sorted data presents for better readability and more beautiful graphs. And one more interesting thing here is that you'll be able to add your KPIs to the tooltip as well. So you are able to sort the visualizations even with a column that is not available in your graph. So basically a hidden column, and you are sorting your data based on that, which is cool. So until now, the area chart visualization was available only in two forms, that is the stacked area and the 100% stacked area. Now the area chart plain visualization also has been included. So if you notice here, these were the two visualizations that were already available, and a new addition here that could be used. Browser content density, or what you call as Chrome density, has been improved. The reason for this is to essentially provide more space for your visualizations. So if you notice here, the data tab, the visualization tab, and the analytics tab that were stacked vertically earlier are now stacked horizontally, and the search bar has been stabilized there. It is a permanent fix there. Again, this will result in more space to your visualization. Similarly, the data panels can be compressed fully now compared to earlier where this capability was not available. So I'm able to compress both these data panels. This not only can be done from here, but even from the bottom right space, this option will be available. Filters, a lot of enhancements to filters as well. So you can choose to now have your filters basically at the canvas level or at the visualization level with a simple drag and drop facility. I have this product category filter here, which I'm able to easily drag and drop at the visualization level. And you notice this is now available at the visualization. And also filter properties have been enhanced. So the show filter toggle can be turned on and off, and even you will be able to filter directly from the visualization. So let me choose furniture, and you see the filter works at this canvas level now. And again, I will be able to just remove this filter and add it to the canvas level. What this essentially would do is it would give a flexibility to quickly modify content without having to, remove it or re-add any steps. One very important feature widely used in OSE is the export. So once your visualizations are ready, you export it to Excel, PDF, PowerPoint, and the limits now have been considerably increased. The point to be noted here is this limit will be based on the configuration of OSE. So basically the configurations that you would have done when you provisioned OSC. So if it's the basic configuration is 2-core 12 OCPU, which will allow for 2 million rows export, and the highest configuration, which is 16 OCPU 52 cores, will allow for 4 million rows of export. The same thing goes for query data, in the sense when the visualization is viewed on the canvas itself, how many rows would be displayed, which is the same, 2 million and 4 million respectively. Another interesting addition to this export capability is the capability to export individual visualizations. Notice here when I select export, it is defaulted to active visual here, and that means only that visual will get exported versus the earlier option where the whole canvas would get exported and I may have to delete the other things which are not necessary for me. But of course there is an option, the earlier option as well. So this option of export would be defaulted to the canvas itself. This is particularly very helpful if the visualizations are embedded in another application or web page. This would be really helpful. So when we bring in data, there are many capabilities that are provided. One such addition now is the capability to trim, which would remove the leading or trailing spaces in your data, eventually improving the health of the data that was imported to create data sets. So the auto refresh capability in visualization has a new setting now. If you go to canvas settings, I'm opening the canvas properties here, and then there is an option to auto refresh, which is disabled by default. I enable it, and for the purpose of this demo, I've just set it to 5 seconds. And once this is done, when you start this, you will notice that every 5 seconds, the canvas will auto refresh for you. So in addition to adding this capability, there is also an option to enable and disable it now. So these were the highlights of the new features or enhancements that have been done in space of visualizations within OSC. Now coming to one of the most important aspects, the data preparation. Let's see all the new features that are available here now. So now there is support for data and database analytics text tokenization. So database analytics are basically, the advanced analytics algorithms that are available in your database, which can be easily now utilized within OSC in order to, apply advanced analytics algorithms easily to your data. So some of these advanced analytics algorithms were already available. The new addition, and a very good one at that, is text tokenization. This will basically enable you to extract words from unstructured data and then eventually count them or visualize them. Let's see how this works. Here I have a data set of insurance claims and complaints. Quickly open that, give it a few seconds. The column here is complaint description, which basically has it's a free-form text column where the customers have entered the complaint description. So what if you want to analyze this? I create a data flow. I add the data set, the complaints data set that I just showed. This is the function that is available now, the database analytics. Note that this will be available only if your data set is from Oracle database or ADW. Choose text tokenization. Two fields to be filled up here, the output and the parameters. The first column in the parameters space is the actual text column, which is complaint description. The reference column is nothing but a column that would be included in my output data. So in this case, we could also call it as a key. So I select the record ID here. We leave the reference column 2 and 3 as it is, and the other things as it is. So because I selected reference column 1, which was record ID, I come back and add the record ID here to reference column 1. We can remove reference column 2 and 3, which because it was not used. And my output now, along with reference column 1, would contain the rows counter, the token text, and the occurrence. Now, I will explain a bit more on this through this demo. Save this data. Give it a name. So let me just calling this my token text. Note that this will leverage the power of the database. So all of these operations are going to happen in the database and not OSE. So it's pretty fast. And it also means that it is going to create a table in the database, and that's the table name that I will be entering here. I can give it any name. So let's just choose it to call it token text. And the columns will have some aggregations by default. The rows counter, we will change it to count, and the remaining things we will leave it as it is. So I save this data, and then we will run it. This would take up to, say, 30 seconds, 30 to 40 seconds to finish running the data flow. So I go back, and now I have a new data set created, my token text. So how exactly you would now go ahead and utilize this? It has the set columns, like I mentioned earlier, the record ID, the rows counter, the token text, and the occurrence. Go ahead and create a project on this. Okay, so I have already created this project just to speed up things a bit. You notice here I have brought in the occurrence and the token text, which is plotted on a tag cloud. And I've also got a table here for explainability. So the rows counter is basically a particular word in how many rows it occurred and how many times did it occur. So for example, break, it has occurred in 8,369 distinct rows and 13,150 times. So this is a basic analysis of the data set that we created by applying the text tokenization algorithm. And a simple visualization here just to understand how my data is. But this makes little sense unless you join it back with your original data and then deeply analyze this again. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've gone ahead and got the claims complaints data, which was my original data set. And this is joined now on the record ID column. The record ID column is the key basically. And the visualization that I have created now, once after this is joined. Okay, so this was the original data, and from this I'm now able to bring in the vehicle name, the vehicle make, the claim amounts, which is the total global claim amount, and the token text. Now this data makes more sense. I'm able to understand that for Chevrolet, brakes are costly for me. For Ford also, again, brakes are costly for me. For Honda, more or less all the parts are similar. And for Toyota, the engine is costly for me. So the perspective of this is not only that I was able to achieve this analysis, but it's also that how fast I was able to achieve this. So traditionally, if you were to apply these algorithms within your database, you would require a DBA or even a really technical guy to do that, and it would take a lot of time. But with such simple interface and such simple explainability, you are able to use these complex algorithms and derive more meaning out of your data and give more meaning to your visualizations. A similar database analytics algorithm that has been newly included is the frequent item set algorithm. This is also called the market basket analysis or the association rule learning. What happens here is you want to understand, especially in terms of, let's say, supermarket scenario, what are the combination of items that are being frequently bought together. In this example, this is a stationary data set. And if you notice, the number of items here is the column. The item one is Avery, Eldon, GBC, and Xerox. This has occurred 7 times. This combination has occurred 7 times. And the support percentage is 0.26, which means that out of the total number of transactions, the total number of occurrences divided by total number of transactions would be a support percentage. So higher values are here. For example, I have a support percentage of 0.97, that is total occurrences of 26 on the combination of Avery, GBC, and Xerox. So quickly, if you have this kind of data, you will be able to use this algorithm, the frequent item set algorithm, and you will be able to do a market basket analysis. Another great feature, which I personally feel is a game changer, is the self-service modeling capability that has now been added to dataset. Let me create a dataset and quickly show you what I mean. So earlier, you would be able to bring just one table into your data set. Now, a self-service kind of modeling capabilities are allowed. So I am able to bring multiple tables within my data set and join this. So imagine there is no requirement for RPD modeling, no requirement to use the online modeler. Even within data sets, you are able to do this kind of simple self-service modeling. So these joints were already created, so they have automatically come into picture, but I can also change these joints and the type of joints from here. So the tables that were brought in were sales, channels, customers, products, and countries. And you are able to select each table individually also, and then go ahead and do all the operations that you would have traditionally done in your data set screen. So let me save this data set. Save now, and we'll go ahead and create a project and show you. Notice here that the order that has come here is based on the order it was in the data set. You can go ahead and change that. Quickly show you how that can be done. Sales, I want to have it at the end, and the channels, I want to have it as my first table. So just a point to be noted here, if you want to change the order, this is the way you would do it, because by default, it would take the order of your data set. Okay, So another game-changing feature, not only was I able to create data sets with multiple tables, but it also supports hybrid data sets or blending of data sets, and then eventual use of these data sets within data flows. Let's quickly see how that is done. So I'm opening the same data set, the multiple table data set that I created earlier, which was my sales. Give it a few seconds. And the products table, which was brought in from the Oracle DB connection. I have added another connection here now, the local OML connection, and I bring in a products table from this new connection, which is my sample products table. So note that this sample products is from a different connection, not from the same connection that the tables were created earlier. So that means I'm able to have hybrid data sets from multiple connections. I create the join with this new table that I brought in. The product key is disabled because it's treated as a measure, but no worries. You are able to select that and it would allow you to select it. And then now I have this modified data set with this new products table from my new connection. Let me call this my sales hybrid. Same capabilities like I showed earlier. You are able to change the order. You are able to modify each table by using the capabilities within data sets. Let's go ahead and create a simple project out of this. And I'll pick sales, quantity sold, and then just a simple analysis here just to show that this works, the hybrid data set approach and the blending of data sets. Okay, moving on, we have a lot of improvements that have been done within the data quality insights. You have to see to believe it. Let me show you this quickly. I am adding a data set which we used earlier. Again, the complaints, the insurance complaints claims data set. So every time you are going to bring in a data set, notice that these tiny graphs will appear above each column, explaining to you or giving you an insight into the quality of each of these columns. The blue bar and the red bar. Here, for example, the supplier country, it is able to give me an insight that I have invalid country values, which accounts to 9% of the total values in the system. So even before you are using this data set in order to create visualizations, the system is able to tell you the possible issues that you have in your data set, which you should correct in order to have better visualizations, or in like a quality data set. A quality data set will result into quality visualizations. So the power of machine learning being used here in the background, or what we call augmented analytics. Oracle is using this in order to give you insights or point out anomalies in your data sets so that you are able to correct them on the fly and then eventually use it into your visualizations. So notice here, I am able to on the fly add these missing values. I have chosen it to add it into the country US. So now the share of US has increased. Not only that, I am also able to filter on the fly. So let's say I selected France or Japan, and all this data now filters with respect to Japan. So I'm just able to have a quick oversight or have a quick insight into my data. Even renaming of columns is allowed from here, and I'm renaming this to country instead of supplier country. Also notice the drivetrain type, I have a lot of unknowns. So again, I will change this and I will club it into rear wheel drive. So the share of rear wheel drive has increased in this. So by the help of these histograms and these bars, easily you are able to have a quick analysis of your data. which is great, and which is a competitive differentiator, I would say. Okay, moving on. Every time you would have used data sets, you would have noticed that it's able to give you some recommendations in order to enrich your data set. These recommendations are possible through system knowledge until now. So if you go to console, you'll be able to see a new tab now called reference knowledge. So along with the system knowledge, now you are also able to add custom reference knowledge. So let me give you an example to make you understand. Let's say you have a data set which has zip codes, but you do not have country and city in your data set. So the engine will be able to recommend you to extract city and country just because you have zip codes within your data set. So this kind of enrichment recommendations were only available through system knowledge, and this system knowledge also is restricted to geography data. But now you will be able to add your custom reference data. Let's say you're a pharma company and you have a data set which has medical codes, and you also want to have the medical category and medical names, or say medicine names or medicine categories to these medicine codes. So what would you have done traditionally is you would need to have had another data set, join it to your original data set, and then you will be able to get not only the medicine names and medicine categories. So instead of this, if you have uploaded this reference knowledge already here, every time a data set is included which has medicine codes, automatically the engine will be able to recommend you whether you want to extract medicine names and medicine categories also out of it, which again I feel is a competitive differentiator, and it's a great feature. So these were some of the cool things that we saw that were added as part of the data prep or data preparation stage that is part of OSE. And now we finally move to the last part, which is the generic features that are now part of OSE. Data actions, I would say this was a bug, but Oracle has projected this as an enhancement. Nonetheless, so whenever you create a data action, you can use multiple data points, and when you invoke a data action and you come back to the original canvas, the filter used to not get replaced when every time you want to apply a new filter. But now when you invoke a data action and you come back to your original canvas, that filter will be replaced so that a new filter can be applied. Another enhancement is the newly added repair zip codes recommendations. So it's like a single click option to add leading zeros to zip codes. Usually the zip codes might have got truncated every time you import them into your data set. So this new enhancement will now help you to repair them. So Hive connections are supported in OSE, and now the enhancement is that you'll be able to authenticate using Kerberos. So you are able to leverage the impersonation of user credentials using Kerberos. The option for that is here at the end. If you see what I'm highlighting, it's the use the active user's credentials. So you will be now able to impersonate whenever you have an Hive connection using Kerberos. The new addition to the vast array of connections that are already allowed in OSE is Google BigQuery. So you are now also able to bring in data from Google BigQuery. So the fields required here, you'll be able to get it from the IAM and admin option in the Google Cloud Platform. And one thing to note here is that the private key supports only JSON format. So Oracle machine learning capabilities are already inbuilt into the platform. They have been in place for quite some time now. It's a great feature, I would say. You are able to create machine learning models or train machine learning models in your database, and within the space of 2 clicks, you can register them in OSE and quickly use them. So the enhancement here is every time you are registering an Oracle machine learning model and using it, the explainability has been enhanced. So let's quickly have a look. So I have a machine learning model here, which is like this decision tree machine learning model. When you inspect this model, along with the existing features, now you will see an additional tab here called related. So when you see this related tab, you see all the tables or the views that have been created when the machine learning model was trained. So what this essentially would help you do is, you are now able to use these tables in your analysis to understand better what the model has trained and what is the output of the model. And every time you do this, you will be able to notice some discrepancies, or you will be able to gain more insights so that your model can be trained better. So this is really an awesome feature that has been added. The next one is the day-by-day information inclusion in Snapshot. So Snapshot is basically a feature wherein you take you take a good state of your environment can be captured as every time you do a migration or you want to have a backup. That's how you do it, through snapshots. There is an option now to include day by day also in snapshots. Reload data sets on a schedule. So traditionally, schedules were allowed only for data flows and sequences. Now even data sets can be reloaded on schedules. Let me show you that. You create a new schedule on your data set. Similar fields, start time and frequency of the data set. You can even delete this schedule from here if you want. And able to see the history of your schedules also. So the other system enhancements that have come into place with these latest releases is, of course, you will be able to do this only if you're an administrator. So you are able to override database features. There is an option to override features. So one is to only administrators can override. 2 is the option if you want an user also to override. And 0, the option by default is no user can override. You are also able to disable and enable the brushing capabilities in data sets. And you are also able to enable and disable the database analytics node, which I previously showed you in data flows. So other notable enhancements are the addition of graph analytics. So along with database analytics, now there is also an option for graph analytics. So what exactly is a graph? It is nothing but a collection of vertices and the lines between these vertices. And this kind of analysis is really helpful. If you're, let's say, a large logistics company, you have a lot of warehouses. And as an example, you want to find out the shortest distance between your warehouse. You want to rank your warehouses and these kind of things. So traditional use cases are for shortest path, page rank, subnetwork, clustering. So all of this would be possible now with the help of graph analytics. The other option is now you are able to bring in custom JDBC drivers. So remote JDBC driver connection used with the help of Dataflow are enabled now. The other enhancement is also related to the map layers. So in visualization, ideally 2 data sets can be used, but if they are not connected, you will not be able to visualize them. But in map layers, you can now visualize even if your data sets are not joined. And administrators can also configure object storage as a delivery channel for BI publisher reports. This has been an ask in waiting for a long time. To be honest, the old Oracle Analytics app was a bit underwhelming. This new Analytics mobile app has been launched. What this promises is a continuity of experience from the phone to your tablet to your browser. This is really exciting. And for the ones who are already using Oracle Analytics, I would definitely recommend you to download the new Oracle Analytics app and start using it. All the features that you're able to do on a browser, like create visualizations or even have data sets, launch dashboards, all of this you will be able to do on the app. Not only this, you are able to share and get alerts also, like how you traditionally get on a mobile app. So this was it regarding all the new features and the enhancements that have been done in the space of Oracle Analytics Cloud. Like I promised, there is a little bonus slide here for all of you, which we call the Developers Corner. How you would go ahead and use a variable prompt. Let me give you a use case for this. Imagine that you want to understand your behavior of your visualization based on a dynamic value. Okay, this actually is not possible through Oracle Analytics. Or also, if you want to have like a dimension selector on the same visualization, again, this feature also is not possible out of the box. So how exactly would you go ahead and do this? From our vast experience with various clients, we have implemented these kind of things and just sharing on this knowledge with you all. So Oracle has this library called extensions. You'll be able to find this online. So when you go on to extensions, you will find a lot of these. One of them is the force directed graph and the presentation variable prompt. You download this extension. As an administrator, you'll be able to do this. You go to console, you will see an option here called extensions, and you upload the extensions, the company variable and the force directed extension. This is what I have already uploaded here. Let's go ahead and create a project to better understand how this will be used. I have a sample orders data here. I'm bringing in order lines, and I will view this by product subcategory. So what if I want to have this same graph, but for different dimensions? So I create a new calculation. I call this as select dimension. And this is the syntax. Concentrate here a bit on this. This would be the syntax. @ dim is the name of the variable that you want to give. And you drag and drop a default value. In this case, I brought in the product subcategory value. So once you create this new calculation with this syntax, you will be able to find a new column called selected dimension and then the variable prompt. So every time you add an extension, all this will go and sit into this part of your visualization pane, which is called the custom visualization. So here you see the variable prompt is available, which is what I've brought into my canvas. So I will go ahead and give it a name here, which was dim, which is what I had used. And you see the product subcategory automatically appeared because that was the default value. Now I not only want to have product subcategory, but also I want to view this same visualization with different dimensions. So that is product category. And after this, I'll bring in customer segment. So I replaced the column that I had earlier added with this selected dimension. And now the same graph I'm able to have, but with a variable dimension selector. So I can view it by product category, I can view it by customer segment, or I can view it by any other dimension that I would have added here. So what is the second use case for this? I created another new calculation, which is nothing but a target. So I have data here wherein there are a number of order lines by product. And as a depot manager or as a procurement manager, I have variable targets, or I have dynamic targets, say every month, which changes based on different criteria. So how I would go ahead and understand if the number of orders are being met with the target that I am dynamically setting. Okay, so this is a calculation again using the same syntax @TV. TV is the new variable name that I've added here. and this is the variable. I've defaulted it to value of 100, that is number of orders is 100. I'll go ahead and add based on my current criteria. So based on my current criteria, I can add 200 and many different values, 300, 500, and 800. So once these variable targets are set, now I'm able to quickly analyze if my number of orders are meeting my targets or not. So the ones marked in amber have not met the dynamic target that I have selected now, and the remaining ones have in green have met the dynamic target. So that's how you would work around this variable prompt use case that OSE doesn't allow by default, but that's how you can do it. Another one extension that is very interesting is the force directed graph. Let's see how this works. The force directed extension is uploaded like I showed you earlier, and I'm able to very easily analyze hierarchical data on this in a very interesting and cool manner. So let me bring in my hierarchy. So it's LOB, and then product type, brand, and then there's product. And for this hierarchy here, what I want to measure is, say, revenue. So this quickly created a force directed graph for me. I'm able to drag and drop and pin this object, and I'm able to analyze the hierarchy, and the bubbles, of course, explain the values, the size of the bubbles. Every time I click on one particular level, it would expand into another level. And every time, this is the way the hierarchy will be expanded. And every time I click back on it, it will collapse again. So if you want to visualize hierarchy data with this kind of a force directed graph, you could use this approach that I'm showing you here. So we are almost at the end of this session. So in conclusion, looking at all of these things and the releases and the features that we went through, one thing surely we can conclude is that Oracle is taking a very maximalist approach with its releases, in the sense that more is more kind of approach. It has added so many features from so many vast areas that there will be something to look for no matter what you are in the organization. So you may be a business analyst or an engineer or a department manager or even an executive. There is something for everyone. And not only that, even as a technical person, there is so much to do, not only in terms of visualizations, but even analytics, algorithms, and machine learning. This is also evident because their upgrade cycle is now every quarter. So Oracle Analytics Cloud is being upgraded every quarter. This not only brings the new features and enhancements that we showed you, which is part of the current quarter, but also it fixes a lot of issues that were there in the previous releases. And a tip here, that if you want to know a list of these issues that were fixed, you could visit support.oracle.com and just put in this mobile ID. And finally, the launch of the new Oracle Analytics Cloud mobile app. It was long awaited, and it's really a much needed addition, and recommend all of you to check it out. So we leave you with this. The combination of Oracle Analytics Cloud and ClearPeaks would do wonders. Really, your analytics journey, it will result in improved outcomes and improved insights. Thank you so much. And we are open for question and answers now.
So we will now address the questions that are in the Q&A screen that you can find at the bottom of the page. Any questions, as I mentioned, that we cannot tackle during the course of these next 5 minutes will be addressed privately via mail during the course of the next couple of days. So Manish, if you want to start tackling some of the questions, some of which we already have addressed during the course of the webinar, just feel free to start.
Yes, thank you, Gian. I'm addressing some of those questions.
So we have a questions. Is it possible using the use as a filter option on one visual to filter part of the visuals and the other visuals where the filter is not applied on them? So selective filtering. You can answer live, Manish.
Hi, Nora. Thanks for joining the session. So your question is it possible to you for us to use the use as a filter option partially? I'm afraid that is not possible. You can in the sense that if you have related columns in your multiple visuals, it will automatically get filtered. But if you don't have related columns, it will not get filtered. So the other option to do this would be to just create another canvas. So we have options to have multiple canvas. So if you want the use as a filter option not to be applied to all visuals, you could move it to other canvas. I hope that answers.
We have had another 5 questions that have been answered privately. There is another one coming through right now. There is another question that's just come through. Manish, if you want to address it.
Hi, Kishan. So I understand what you are asking here. So that kind of functionality is not possible in OAC. So although it is called as a variable prompt, the main functionality of this is to be able to have like a dynamic filter on your visualizations, or to be able to dynamically control your visualization based on different criteria. So although the name might be a bit misleading, but it does not exactly work like the variable prompt that we use. It used to work in OBI.
So for the audience sake, the original question was, in OBIE, we can use as a column of a subject area could have been used as a source of variable prompt. And the question was if we can do the same in OAC. Unfortunately, I think we are just running out of time now. Feel free to insert further questions in the panel. We will address them in the next couple of days privately. Thank you, everybody, for attending this webinar. We hope that the information that we have provided on the new features of OAC have been fruitful for you, either in deciding about the user adoption of OAC or to help you in your existing current project. And we welcome you to the next sessions of our Cool Talks by Clearpix, whose calendar you can find either on LinkedIn following our account Clearpix or on our website. Thank you so much, and see you the next time.